Hey, it's Ash, and welcome back to the Be Mighty Mom podcast. We've been walking through prayer, right? And its many shapes between unanswered prayers, raw, messy prayer, focused prayer, gratitude prayer. And today we land on one of the hardest and most important pieces, persistence in prayer. This is not the glamorous kind of prayer. This isn't the type where you get an immediate answer, right? A miracle even, or a clear direction. This is the grind, the endurance, the long game, if you will, and continuing to show up again and again, even when it feels like nothing is changing. You're praying for an answer. Sometimes we have to accept that the answer is no. We might not like it, but sometimes it is. And if you're parenting a child who is autistic, medically complex, or just facing challenges the world doesn't understand, you know persistence isn't optional. It's survival. So let's talk about it through the lens of God's unshakable faithfulness. Are you a Christian mom raising an autistic or medically complex child, feeling like you're praying into the void and wondering why God would allow your child to struggle? You're in the right place. Hi, I'm Ash, mom of two, one autistic with a rare disease, and former Disney princess turned reverend, where I specialize in ministry coaching for autism moms to restore their faith and reconnect with God. If you're ready to fully embrace the title Christian Autism Mom and know God is your BFF, fill up your water jug, open your heart, and let's fill up your spirit together. Welcome to the Be Mighty Mom podcast. Before we get started, I want to invite you inside the Be Mighty in Christ Academy. If you've been walking through hard seasons, autism, medical challenges, or just feeling distant from God, the Be Mighty in Christ Academy was built just for you. Inside, you'll find month-long devotionals, prayer guides to help you draw closer to God, members-only podcast episodes, and a private prayer circle where we lift one another up. You'll also get exclusive offers and early access to future courses designed to help you reconnect with God and restore your faith one step at a time. Come be part of the community that believes in rising again through Christ inside the Be Mighty in Christ Academy. Join now at BeMightyMom.com/academy. See you inside. I want to start with Jesus' own words in Luke 18, okay? Luke writes, "Then Jesus told his disciples a parable to show them that they should always pray and not give up." And then he tells the story of the persistent widow, the woman who keeps going back to a judge who doesn't fear God and doesn't care about people. Over and over, she begs him to give her justice. And finally, he relents, not because he's a good person, but because he's worn out from her persistence. And Jesus says, "Will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off?" Later in Luke 11, Jesus tells the story of a friend at midnight, a man banging on his neighbor's door, demanding bread, and he gets it. Not because of friendship, but because of shameless persistence, right? That's Luke 11, 5 through 10. Both stories make the same point. Keep praying. Don't stop. Paul echoes this in Galatians 6:9. "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." And in Romans 12:12, "Be joyful in hope, patient in affection, faithful in prayer." Persistence is baked into faith, right? Not because God needs nagging, but because we need the reminder that he's still listening. He's still there. He's still working, even when we can't see it. So I want to tell you the truth about persistence in prayer in my own life. When Max was little, before the diagnosis, the symptoms were already there, right? Like autism just doesn't magically appear right when you get a diagnosis. He's been autistic all along. And that's when the professionals finally give you the words. The challenges were there all along. And they were hard, like really hard, right? Like I'm not going to downplay that. We were exhausted, overwhelmed, because parenting books at that point didn't help. It's like, these are the steps you take. And it's like, but every step is not working. What am I doing wrong? Nothing. Those books are written for children who it works for. That's why we need resources for parents that are walking our path for our children, right? So every day felt like a guessing game of what might set him off, of what might help him, what could or couldn't tolerate Like, was it going to be sounds? Was it going to be texture? Was it going to be taste? How could we keep him safe? Because he also has a rare disease and he also is sensory seeking, and whether anyone around us would ever understand. And then came the advice, right? Oh, you got to love all the advice coming in. People who had never walked this road felt the need to tell me what to do, what therapy to try, what cure to chase, what diet to force, what direction to focus on, what vitamins to take, what behaviors to correct. They'd say things like, oh, the whole point of therapy is so they don't act like they have autism. Oh, everything about that sentence just is so wrong, okay? And I was desperate. I wanted answers, right? Like, I wanted help. I wanted to believe that someone out there knew what to do. And at that time, I did not know what neuroaffirming care was. I did not know the right ways to say things, right? Like, you just get a diagnosis and you're like, okay, now what? And everyone's throwing these things at you. You're like, yes, 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 yes. What do you do? It's overwhelming. And sometimes it works for the child and sometimes it doesn't. And then for our case, it didn't. So I was feeling like I was spiraling. And you know what I did? I prayed. And when I say I prayed, I don't mean those sweet little devotionals like prayers like, oh, God, I'm so thankful for this. And oh, we're having a little hard time here. No, I mean, like, I was desperate, like ugly, crying on the floor kind of prayers. I'm like, God, I don't know what to do. I'm trying. I'm doing everything that they tell me to do. But is it right? Is this right for Max? I don't know what to do. And in that stillness, God spoke. And it wasn't in a booming voice either, right? Like, not in a Bible verse flashing across the sky, you know, lighting a burning bush on fire, like nothing like that. But in that deep soul level whisper I could not ignore. I'm going to cry. Stop it. Okay. I heard, you are his mother. Like, okay, like that's such a simple phrase, but oh my gosh, when I tell you, a switch went off in my brain, like, wait, I am his mother. Not the doctors, not the therapists, not the well-meaning but uneducated people spouting ableist nonsense, right? No, me. I was his mother. I was his advocate. I was his voice. And here's the thing, I wasn't naturally built for that role. I know, shocking as it may seem, I was built to be a people pleaser. I was trained to be that way, right? Quiet, afraid to lose people around me if I spoke up my opinions, afraid of being too much or too loud or too anything, like just too in your face, right? Always taming down my energy, masking myself, right? But God made it so clear and simple. This was mine to carry. This was my assignment. I had been searching for a purpose my whole life. And I know it's probably be like, well, your purpose shouldn't be to be a mom, right? Like, but it was. That was my purpose. My purpose was to be a mom, and it was to help him and become his voice when he didn't have one. And persistence became my lifeline. Persistence in prayer, persistence in advocacy, persistence in learning, unlearning, and relearning what Max actually needed. And I didn't get it right? I still don't all the time, but I know this. With God's power and guidance, the path that we chose is the path that Max needs. But I also want you to know this, okay? Know this right now. Your path is going to look different. That's why you will never hear me get up on here and say, you should do this or this will help your child. No, that is not at all what I will ever do, okay? Because your path should look different than mine. Because your child isn't Max. And you aren't me, right? And that's not only okay, it's beautiful. Today, Max is thriving. Yes, like he's 4 and just like has just completely come to life. There are struggles. Yes. There are days I'm just surviving. I don't romanticize autism, right? And I don't tragedize it either, right? I'm coining that term. But if Max weren't autistic, he wouldn't be my Max. And he's hilarious. And he's so animated and so emotional with things. Like that kid brings me so much joy. And while the days are hard, it gives me so much purpose to know that I can help him in ways that no one else can. But it took me a long time to embrace that, right? It took me a long time because people kept pitying him and people kept pitying me. Anytime I would just like say like, oh yeah, this is happening, it's really hard. It's hard because how do you respond to that, right? Because on one hand, I'm like, people are like, oh, well, you're really strong, you can handle it. You're like, shut up. And on the other hand, people are like, oh my gosh, that must be so hard. I don't know how you handle it. And you're like, well, shut up. Like, it's just like people, honestly, sometimes it feels like people can't win. And I don't even know how to help somebody else through that, right? Like, it's just so, it's hard. It's hard. But we don't need the pity, right? That pity nearly destroyed us because I would live in it like, oh my God, this is hard. God, this is hard. But we don't need pity, okay? What we need is understanding, acceptance, and support. And that realization came through persistence and prayer, not giving up even when I wanted to. I'm telling you, I need to have some type of theme music for my science sections, okay? Because I love pulling in science here. Let me talk about it, right? Okay, here's science for a second. Persistence isn't just a spiritual thing. It's literally wired into our brains. When we keep showing up, when we keep practicing something, whether it's a prayer, a skill, or an act of endurance, our brains create new pathways. It's called neuroplasticity. Okay, real quick. There was this girl, I used to work at Disney and I was like a princess, whatever. And a little girl came up to me and she was talking about this instrument that she was playing. And I was like, well, practice makes perfect. And she goes, no, practice makes better, not perfect. And I was like, wow. And ever since then, that little girl changed my life because I walk through the world saying practice makes better because do we all want to be perfect? Yeah, but is that attainable? No. The only perfect human on the earth was Jesus, and Jesus still flipped tables, okay? So I want you to think about that when you think about perfection. Don't think about perfection. Think about practice makes better. And that is exactly what persistence does here, okay? Persistence literally reshapes us. It builds resilience. It changes how our stress responds and fire. It teaches our brains and bodies, you can survive this, you can keep going. So when Jesus tells us to persist in prayer, it's not about getting through to God, right? Like God can hear us. It's not about that. It's about what happens in us when we refuse to quit. Prayers strengthens our spirit, right? But persistence strengthens our entire being. We are not going to God nagging him for answers. We are being persistent in prayer to build up resilience in us. Okay, sometimes I like to joke that God must have a caller ID, like he sees me coming with the same prayer again and he's like, oh, great, it's Ash. Yep, she's still asking about Maximus. But then I remember that's the point, right? He actually wants us to keep showing up. He never gets tired of my voice. He never rolls his eyes, right? Like, if anything, persistence is the proof of relationship. It's what keeps us tethered when everything else is falling apart. Because what is prayer? Connection, and it's connection to God. So if you're in that place right now, you're exhausted, you're tired of praying the same prayer over and over with no end in sight, let me tell you this, persist anyway. Because persistence doesn't mean God isn't answering. It means he's strengthening you in the waiting. Because sometimes his answer is no, right? We might not like that, but sometimes his answer is no. Sometimes the answer isn't resolution, right? It's presence. It's peace. It's the strength to get through today and try again tomorrow. And if that's all you get, that's still an answer. Even if we don't like it. We don't always like God's answers, right? But his will is not our will. So this week, I want to leave you with a little bit of a challenge, okay? Think of one prayer you've almost given up on. Maybe it's for your child or yourself. Maybe it's for your marriage, your health, your sanity. Whatever it is, bring it back. Pray it again this week. Not because persistence, right, magically unlocks the answers you want, but because persistence keeps you tethered to God, who loves you and your child more than anyone else ever could.
Hi, I'm Goodbye.
I hope this episode helped you feel closer to God and recharged in your faith. I pray it validated and healed you in ways you didn't think were possible. If it did, would you share this episode with another mom who needs it? It would mean the world to me too if you would leave a review. And lastly, make sure to subscribe to our newsletter for weekly devotions sent straight to your inbox. Subscribe at BeMightyMom.com/newsletter. Talk to you soon, friend. Now, go be mighty, mom.